Due attendance is 70% of your classes for the semester, which may or may not inform about 10% of your overall grade. There is a reason for this. If a class holds twice a week, and let's say a semester is 12 weeks, that means the class is going to hold how many times in a semester? Let's do a quick math. 1 week equals to 2 times, and 12 weeks will be equals to x times. Do cross multiply, that will be 1 times x equals 2 times 12. X is equals to 24. Therefore, 12 weeks of classes twice every week is equals to 24 classes. 70% of attendance will be another quick math. 70%, that's 70 over 100 times 24, will be 7 times 24 over 10, and that is 7 times 24 is 168 over 10. That is 16.8 classes. That is approximately 17 classes. So 70% attendance is equivalent to 17 of 24 classes. Now, I'm not telling you to skip 7 classes, because even me, I cannot guarantee you a good grade if you skip 7 of my 24 classes. So let's find a middle ground, 3 or 4. 1. Know your lecturer. If you have lectures on maybe Monday morning and Wednesday afternoon, and you know that the lecturer is more present Monday morning, or he teaches more Monday morning, maybe Wednesday afternoon it just wraps up the topic he has been teaching since Monday, or something of that sort, you just feel like Monday morning classes are always more productive for the lecturer and maybe for you, then it's okay to skip Wednesday afternoon classes. Also, if the lecturer is not rigid about class attendance as to, grade it, students with it, or if it's not want to be familiar with faces as to notice you're absent, then it's completely fine. And while I want to first of all put out the disclaimer that if you are in your first year, this video is not for you, and most probably if you're in your second year too, because you actually do need some time to first of all observe these lecturers and understand the possibility of skipping the classes or not. And while I'm not trying to promote skipping classes, I've observed that there were some classes I had to skip, and it was in fact productive for me than attending those classes, because it will be better sometimes to even spend that time in the library reading maybe that course or another course than sitting in that class and knowing that the lecturer is not going to take anything serious that afternoon. And of course, that's why it's very important for you to know your lecturer first. So you cannot do this in your first or second week of resuming the semester. You have to have observed the lecturer and know him to an extent. 2. Test assignment or presentation validity. If you know that your lecturer is not someone who can give you an impromptu test, or you are currently having presentations like group by group presentation, and maybe your group has presented, now emphasis on the fact that your group has presented, because even if your group is yet to present and you are not the speaker, common sense demands that you should be in class. Also, if the lecturer has given you assignments, common sense also demands that you attend the class on the date of the submission, because what if it decides that everyone submits individually? 3. Illness. If you're not feeling fine for real, I'm not talking about you're faking it, it's okay, completely okay to stay in your hostel or your apartment or wherever rather than going for the classes. Whenever I see people who are sick attending classes, I am always confused, because what's the point? You get nothing in the class. It's not like you're going to write test or exam or something. You are just attending the class. My dear, sit in your hostel and rest. And yes, period cramps is a valid reason and falls under this category too. If you know your lecturer is a very strict person who probably might request for a doctor's report, you want to make sure that if you're actually ill, you go to the hospital and see the doctor first, even if you don't end up using whatever they give you or something, just to make sure that on that day you have proof for it. 4. Lagging behind. This one is very funny. It's a hard pill, but it's true. If you know that you never understand whatever this lecturer teach, either because of your own fault, like you have closed your mind that you just cannot understand whatever the lecturer teaches, or because of how the lecturer teaches, or maybe the lecturer has been teaching that topic for the past few classes and you just don't understand, and you feel like there's no way you're going to understand, you just have to read it on your own or ask your mates for explanation. It is completely fine not to attend the class if you know that the lecturer is still going to dwell on that topic. It is rather better to even stay in your hostel and start reading it on your own, or focus on something more productive than attending that class, because it's better for you to focus on yourself and try to understand it rather than wasting like 2 hours in class where you lack understanding throughout. Disclaimer: some lecturers might tend to act unpredictable, so that's why I said you have to observe this lecturer first, you have to study this lecturer first. Skipping 3 or 4 classes for a particular course might not be the issue, but when you are skipping 3 4 classes consecutively, you are skipping in 2 weeks, you've not attended any of the classes, that is not commonsensical of you. Some lecturers might tend to act unpredictable, so you have to be smart about this. And that's why I tell you, if you're actually ill, go to the clinic and get a doctor's report if you know how the lecturer can be. That's why I said that if you know the lecturer is someone who can give you an impromptu test, you don't want to skip his classes. When I got into school, one of my resolutions was to make sure that I attend all my classes and skip none. But did I do that? No. It got to some point that I had to choose my battles. I remember once during exam period, it was like a week to exam and we were still having classes. I made a resolution that I was not going to attend classes throughout that week, and every single day I'll go to someone who attended the classes, I'll collect the note of what they did, what they said and all, and I just felt like I wasn't even missing anything. So my microphone died while I was recording and I didn't know. I actually shot the video till the end, and it was when I was editing I discovered, so I'm just going to put this part. I also had this friend who decided for 1 week that she was not going to attend classes because she needed to like offload her mind, catch up on the things that we had been learning in class that she had not been understanding. And she's a first class student, she did very well, right? So attending all your classes in school is very important, but all your classes is kind of scam. Also, you cannot afford to be missing classes consecutively. You cannot skip like 2 weeks of classes. And if you attend a Monday class and you skip a Wednesday class, it's only sensible that the next Monday class should not be skipped. So don't skip classes consecutively. Leave spaces in between. And I don't recommend skipping classes at the like middle of the semester or something, maybe the beginning, maybe the end, when it's like, oh, you're just starting, there's nothing much, or you're just ending, there's nothing much. If you want to skip in the middle, it must not be consecutive. Also, what point does it make if you skip a class for no reason? Like you skip a class just to sleep, you skip a class just to play. That does not make sense. We're not trying to promote laziness in this community, we're promoting academic excellence. So if you're skipping a class, you must replace it with something productive that, oh, you even be glad that, okay, it was worth not going to the class, even if anything maybe serious or lucky happens. Make sure that if you're not going to class, you're maybe completing an application, or you are writing an essay, you are doing an assignment, or you are reading, you're spending time in the library actually reading the course you should be in class for. Do you understand? That's what I do most times. Even if I'm not reading, I'm just doing something productive. Productivity might be subjective, but as long as it's productive. If you are not attending classes and you're not doing anything productive, you don't have this. If you are in your first year or your second year, please, I do not recommend this for you, because I feel like if you're in your first year, you're just trying to gain your momentum. You're probably in all these departments where your first year decides whether you continue in your second year or not, like medicine, like law. So please attend classes. If you're in your second year, the reason I may not recommend it is because I feel like you're not yet familiar with your lecturers, right? By the time you're in your third year, fourth year, you're probably having some lecturers that have taught you before, so you're familiar with them, right? And we've had people that were so involved in so many things like politics, and on some occasions they just had to forfeit classes for these things, and they still did very well. Yes, your lecturer must not see this video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.